knuckles for this one, baby. All right, let's go. For the longest time, the Goku versus Saitama debate has always found a way to rear its ugly head at one point or another. In the beginning, it was pretty clear. Outside of jokes and a little trolling, everyone more or less knew that Saitama doesn't stand a chance against Goku.
Okay.
It just doesn't make sense because while Goku has been defeating universal threats on and off Earth for some time, Saitama didn't do anything too crazy. With the exception of his fight against Boros, he was still mostly confined to Earth. He may be the strongest person in the series, but since we've never seen him do anything universal or unimaginable, it was easy to see that he couldn't defeat Goku. To be fair, the whole idea that someone whose training regimen was just 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every day could beat Goku, that's just insane. That was my wrestling workout in middle school, I promise you guys. But it's 2023 and manga-wise, a lot has changed in their respective stories. At this point, it doesn't really matter which side you lean towards. It's no longer as simple as just saying Goku is gonna win and just be done with it. First, let's talk about the way these characters are written. Goku is written to be a martial artist. He fights, he transforms, he wins. Sometimes he loses, sometimes he even dies. Goku's strength is fluid. He can start off weak, he plays around with you some, trying to see what his opponent is able to do, and he can even pretend to get hurt when Chi-Chi punches him. I mean, imagine if he was serious against Goku Black from the beginning. The number of episodes in that entire arc probably could have been counted on one hand. And if he actually had his head on a swivel during Resurrection F, he wouldn't have got hit with the blicky. For Goku, it just never gets easier though. Each time we think he's become the strongest, the Dragon Ball world building suddenly expands and shows us that there are still higher mountains left for Goku to climb. Even right now, Frieza of all people is stronger than Goku again. That's just how Dragon Ball works. But what if Goku was the strongest from the beginning? What if he accidentally one-shot Vegeta, just sent his head flying with one slap? Or what if he just ripped Frieza's entire body in half on Namek? Goku never really starts off as the strongest, in contrast to Saitama, who's just a 25-year-old guy living by himself in modern-day Japan. It's been about 3 years since he went off the grid and just been done with modern-day society, so he decided to become strong enough to become a hero. So for the next 3 years, the grind continued. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run around the block. There was nothing special about him, nothing at all really, except maybe his very conception of strength itself, because while there are characters in the One Punch Man world who have done way worse things to get stronger, they'll easily get one-shotted by Saitama. They still have limits and they're conscious of them. Not Saitama though, he completely removed his limiter. It doesn't matter how strong you are, once Saitama's instincts become conscious of your strength, he's gonna catch up to you and he's gonna leave you in the dust. And this can all happen within seconds. Be it a universal threat like Boros or the Monster King, doesn't matter who. Saitama was able to defeat everyone without breaking a sweat. That is until the omnipotent entity called God entered the fray. We don't really know how strong God is yet, likely much stronger than anyone in the One Punch Man world, including Saitama, but we did get a small glimpse of God's strength. When Garo came into contact with God, he was able to actually match Saitama's level of strength. Only until Saitama's infinite potential made him grow 3 times as powerful as before though. Speaking strictly in terms of feats, Goku absolutely destroys Saitama, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but just like how the Saitama vs Garo fight completely destroyed our understanding of Saitama's strength, the same thing could very well happen versus Goku. To begin with, Saitama vs Garo in the webcomic is way different than the battle in the manga. In the webcomic, he didn't just rip apart Jupiter's moon so easily like he did in the manga. He didn't let out a faster than light fart either, nor did he just casually learn to go back in time. All of these broken feats happen only in the manga, and the manga is far from over. There's also a lot of heavy speculation that by the end of the series, Saitama will be beyond space and time. After all, his final opponent is God. Garo immediately learned the natural flow of all things in the universe just from coming into contact with God, which means that God's true power is something that we can't even begin to comprehend. But this God exists in multiple universes. We know that members of Blast Crew are from different universes and dimensions. And Genos also explained that the multiverse is canon in One Punch Man, TLDR, so we can reasonably call God multiversal. So can Saitama defeat God? That is a wild statement to say, but in the confines of One Punch Man, I highly doubt it. Not until he at least gets some other form of power up. But even if you have the proclivity to exponentially grow till infinity and beyond, you're still growing. It's a lot different from being limitless in the first place. So since Goku is also multiversal just like this god being, Goku can defeat Saitama. The only prerequisite is that he does so in One Punch Man. Because remember, in Dragon Ball Super as well, not everyone grows at the same rate. Goku and Vegeta have Saiyan potential, but they don't grow at the same rate as Broly or Goku Black even. I mean, Broly was able to overcome Super Saiyan God, Blue, and even went toe-to-toe with Super Saiyan Gogeta, all in the course of a single battle. He's a little reminiscent of Saitama as well in the sense that he grows exponentially and he can keep growing unless you have an attack that will absolutely wipe him out. Now, what if Vegeta had gone Super Saiyan God against Broly from the beginning and used his strongest attack with the intent of killing Broly? Yeah, Broly would have died for sure. The battle had only just begun, so he still hadn't developed any instinctual sense for how strong Vegeta was. He would have been wiped out. The same would have happened if Goku would have just gone all out against Goku Black from the start. But do keep in mind that although Saitama's entire existence, and the best part about him is that he just trolls power scalers, he technically isn't a gag character. If that was the case, he would have just one-shotted Cosmic Fear Garo too. But it's because he's not a gag character that means that he can lose. If instead of Goku, the one that fights Saitama was someone like Hit, Saitama would definitely lose. Hit would just one-shot him, ask Goku. Anyway, Saitama is still written as the One Punch Man. If he hadn't removed his limiters, he would have been a little bit more like Goku. Saitama would have still had to struggle, spit blood, and grind every single bone in his body during serious fights. The Titan Brothers, the Bioweapon, Monster King, even Cosmic Fear Garo. All of these fights would have required him to go through an excruciating amount of hardship to grow stronger. Though just like how Goku was never born invincible, the only time we see Saitama being weak is during flashbacks. Their characters are opposites almost. I mean, as much as Goku enjoys nerfing himself to have a good time, Saitama is just too broken to even do that. But in Dragon Ball, feats are kind of implicit. There are so many anti-feats, if that's the right term, which makes sense. Dragon Ball has been ongoing for a long time. There are bound to be inconsistencies. It isn't quite as bad as One Piece, but Saitama, on the other hand, doesn't have any anti-feats because we never see him give an inch. That's just how his character is written. Getting hurt or not, completely owning his opponents is kind of beneath him. All of Saitama's opponents who lived to see another day got humbled. They couldn't believe that someone that much stronger than them exists. By the way, and hang with me when I say this, but I think narration serves a specific significance over feats in anime. Take this for example. Beerus can wipe an entire planet out of existence just like that. And while we haven't seen Saitama do that, we have seen his sneeze blow away half of the surface of Jupiter. Clearly, neither Beerus nor Saitama were using their full strength, so do these two events qualify as feats? Yes, but do they qualify as a metric of their strength? I would say not really. Both, especially Beerus, are much stronger than what this feat implies, but Beerus did it intentionally while Saitama blew away the surface of Jupiter unintentionally. We've never seen Saitama use the absolutes of his full strength, but there's also some speculation that Saitama didn't actually grow stronger during the Garo fight, he just learned how to use more of his power that he already had. The way a character is written is really important when discussing their power. We know Saitama isn't like an angel in Dragon Ball, he isn't always at full power like Whis with Ultra Instinct, and Garo may have only had an ounce of God's power, but it was enough to help him gain the knowledge of all energy and the behavior of all forces in the universe. That panel of Garo forming a galaxy between his hands like Goku with a Kamehameha isn't just for aesthetics, because the narration itself tells us all about what Garo is capable of. There is no doubt in my mind that in the future we're gonna have a fight in One Punch Man that's gonna make this one look like a joke. I mean, Garo is a joke in comparison to God and the implications of God's powers, but we already know at this point Goku can be called multiversal as well. I mean, he fought Jiren, an individual who was beyond time also. But will Goku evolve beyond that? And unlike Saitama, who will inevitably defeat God, will Goku defeat the Grand Priest, let alone Beerus or Whis? I'd like to think that God in One Punch Man is probably a good opponent for Goku since they're both multiversal already, but at this point in time, outside of what he did for Garo, God kind of doesn't have any feats. It's still a little bit too early to compare the two. But to sum it all up, if Goku goes all out against Saitama from the beginning, Saitama's done for. But if he plays around, then it really just depends. It could be a cool fight. Unlike the Saiyans who have unlimited potential, Saitama doesn't even have a limiter to begin with. Either he can grow infinitely during a fight, where he can learn to use more of his power. In either case, if Goku lets the battle drag on, Saitama could eventually catch up and maybe do some damage. On top of that, Saitama has no malice about him, so it's not like Goku will be trying to outright kill him. Keep in mind though that Saitama may already be universal. I mean, we haven't seen him use his full power or even break a sweat, and the battle against Garo was no different than all of Saitama's battles that preceded it. He owned Garo just like he owned everyone before. But we've already seen Goku lose multiple times. Their characters are just written differently. One thing I'd give to Goku is that while we've never seen Saitama go over his usual workout quota, Goku was able to do 100 trillion sit-ups, and he did it on screen, and it was in the matter of a few seconds. So unless Saitama pulls out that 100 trillion in one sit-ups, I don't think he's beating Goku. I'm sorry.